Welcome to The Secret Witch Show, the podcast providing a safe and alchemical altar space of conversations which help powerful women escape a half-hearted, spiritless society and rediscover the freedom of living a wildly magical life. Every other week, we explore how to cast aside the wounds of shame, guilt, and fear connected with fully being yourself, so you can grant yourself permission to stop hiding, ground soulfully back into your body, illuminate your whole soul desires, tend your soul, rediscover and reclaim your powerful gifts, express your magic, and manifest your wildest alchemy. There's no better place to become who your heart longs to be. This is where we will guide you into liberation. I'm your host, Nicole Barton, and I'm so excited to dive in. A huge, warm, Samhain welcome to this episode, and it's honestly my favourite season of the year. I'm delighted to be here, and this episode is a juicy one. Before we dive in, I'm really excited to share some news and reveal our next healing archetypal remedy that we'll be journeying with in our Secret Witches Apothecary membership space over the next 3 months, beginning in just a few days. I will introduce the remedy more fully in today's episode, but we're about to enter a powerful portal, a crucible with archetypal clear quartz crystal, learning to harness her energy to deepen our connection to our body wisdom, our intuition, to reclaim our spiritual brilliance and communion with other worlds, to become the oracle witch that you were born to be. If this speaks to you and you're like, yeah, I really doubt my intuition, yeah, I really feel like I'm here to be an oracle, please do visit nicolebarton.co.uk/membership and see if it calls to you to join us in that space where we'll be journeying with her over the next 3 months. It is a sacred sisterhood where you can interact as much or as little as you like, and I serve all our archetypal remedies in there for you to engage with for your own self-healing journeys and to become the healer that you were born to be. For now, though, let's dive in and I'll tell you more about crystal, clear quartz crystal. So on the Secret Witch Show today, I am naming the oracle witch within, the part of us with spiritual brilliance who sees clearly, hears guidance, feels truth, and simply knows things that others don't. As the veil thins towards Samhain, I speak to the secret witch who's been taught that logic is all that matters and has learned to second guess her intuition, hide her gifts, or doubt the unseen. With tenderness and truth, I invite us to remember our innate connection to other worlds, and I share the clear quartz crystal medicine that amplifies what's already within. In this episode, we explore how clear quartz, the master healer, is an archetypal essence that helps us move from overthinking and control in embodied spiritual clarity, reclaiming our clairs, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognisance, and trusting the oracle wisdom in our bones. I map the shadow of over-reliance on logic, honour the wounds that make us dim our brilliance, and offer simple practices and inquiries to rebuild self-trust. It is a seasonal rite of remembrance and a gentle invitation into October's Apothecary journey with clear quartz for those who feel the resonance. Let's dive in. Welcome, Secret Witches, to our Halloween show. I'm so excited. This is going to be all about the Oracle Witch within, as I'm calling her. I'm going to explain more about who she is. But I'm super excited as we enter this season. This is like my favourite ever season of the whole year, for obvious reasons. It's the season of the witch. So welcome. Let's feel into the aliveness of this energy. I'm looking forward to the fires, the tree leaves falling, the pumpkins, the pumpkin lattes, the fireworks, all the things that scream witch and help us embody our witch. And yeah, I'm so excited to dive into this episode. Actually, I don't know if I've ever explicitly stated this before, but every episode that we share on the Secret Witch Show is usually speaking to or channeling or embodying or, expressing, or all of the above really, a particular remedy from our apothecary, our archetypal apothecary. Like, there's usually always a remedy, and that's for the reason that everybody has their own remedy. So the guests will have their own remedy. They're channeling their own remedy into the world. And I often try and figure out what that is and kind of name it in the show. But every time I do a solo episode, I also am channeling a particular intentional remedy. And so today I'm going to tell you more about the remedy that I'm channeling in this episode. And when I say channeling, I'm serving her as medicine, very low dose, because this isn't within one of my supported journeys, but I will always be serving a dose of a remedy, a serving of a remedy. So this remedy today, you might be familiar with, because it's a very witchy remedy. If you are drawn to being a witch, then you may well have already worked with this remedy in some different form to the archetypal way that we work. And that is because the remedy that I'm speaking about and sharing today is a crystal. So for all the witches who absolutely love crystals, this is one for you. For those of you who are like, well, I'm resisting crystals, this is likely also for you. Because part of the reason why we resist crystals and working with crystals and all that sort of thing can be found in the medicine that this particular crystal serves. So the crystal that we're talking about, and to say more on that, often there will be this kind of resistance, this logical resistance to magic in this archetype. The remedy I'm serving is clear quartz crystal. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. But firstly, I have my tea. Actually have a rose quartz heart with me, which it's only just occurred to me that because I was holding it anyway as I was preparing, holding it as I pressed record. So we actually have quartz, just rose quartz. So we're talking about clear quartz crystal and her properties. And that's what I'm going to be serving archetypally. So when I say that, what I mean is I don't work with homeopathy in the same way that most people do. But what I do as I share my teachings is I'm constantly bringing the remedies alive through my spoken words. So if you're reading a post, it's bringing a remedy alive there. If you're listening to the podcast, it's bringing a remedy alive there. If you're in my crucibles, it's bringing a remedy alive there. And whatever I'm doing, I am channeling remedies. So disclaimer, if you're not here for that, then it's time to leave, as I always say. Please choose consciously as you listen to this. But going back to the crystal, because one of the things that she often speaks to, I'm going to speak to some of the ways that we might be being called to working with clear quartz crystal. And that's because clear quartz crystal often is a remedy that many witches need to work with in order to reclaim their witch. So, for example, one of the ways that clear quartz can show up is having that kind of doubt of our intuition. Like, have you ever had a gut feeling that felt so crystal clear, note my language, crystal clear, but you immediately talked yourself out of it? Or maybe you dismissed it as irrational or not logical. Maybe you were worried that people would think you were stupid or mad. Or maybe you told yourself, like, I can't trust myself, I'll probably get it wrong. Have you ever wished that you had a crystal ball and you could see the future, but you doubt what next step to take? Like, maybe you wish that you had more guidance or more nudges from the universe, from spirit, from whoever. This is the dilemma of the secret witch, the witch who hides. And it's part of the reason she hides is because she spirals round, and I'm speaking with personal experience here, she spirals around in logic, in overthinking, in a fear of her intuition. Like, she hides her brilliance. And by brilliance, I mean her gifts, whether they're magical or logical. Like, there might be a brilliance in terms of, like, the way that she can intuit things. There may be a brilliance in terms of her pattern spotting. There may be a brilliance in terms of her channeling capacity. Or there may be a brilliance in her logical capacity. She will hide that brilliance, whatever it is, for fear of ridicule. She doesn't want to shine like a clear quartz crystal. Or she believes that she has no brilliance at all, even though she's deeply intuitive and attuned to what's true. So clear quartz in shadow, in fear, in her kind of wounded expression, if you like, has forgotten her gifts. She's also forgotten her natural connection to other worlds. So the gifts that she carried as a child, often when we're children, we have this beautiful kind of knowing of our gifts, knowing of this kind of connection to other worlds, particularly for women who are witches. And so the woman who needs clear quartz often has forgotten this natural gift of connection to other worlds. So things like her clair gifts go unseen, hidden away. Like, and by clair gifts, I mean like the clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognisance. So the ability to see clearly, like clairvoyance. So maybe you see spirit. Like to hear guidance, maybe you hear spirit. To feel deeply, clairsentience, and to know truth, just like you just know, like claircognisance. And there are other clairs as well, but basically those gifts of clear quartz, the oracle witch, have been hidden, shamed, like shoved down, shoved away, because there's been some incident probably where we've been put into this clear quartz wounded state. Maybe something in childhood that taught us that that's not safe. Like maybe school taught us that logic is what matters and magic's not to be trusted. Like maybe that was certainly the case for me. Like maybe we start to doubt our intuition from there, and we disbelieve like what we've seen. We doubt ourselves because it can't be proven. Like it doesn't fit with science. And yet deep down, we know. Like we know there's a truth in that. And we also long for clarity. We long to trust that truth, trust our wisdom. In essence, what we're longing for in that moment is to remember our oracle witch, which is this part of us who knows our spiritual brilliance, who communes with other worlds, and who sees truth with crystal clarity. So that's what this episode is about today. And it's an episode for the secret witch who finds herself constantly second-guessing herself and her spiritual oracle brilliance. So we might say things like, I don't know if I can trust myself. I don't know if I can trust my intuition. Like, what if I've got this wrong? This is a big part of the secret witch. And I know because it has been me. Like, I have been this witch, the witch who doubted, like, if I'd received a message from spirit and I'm like, oh, hang on. Like there's a hit of something I just got there. Like even when I was first a healer and I wasn't able to share that, I'm going to share more about my own journey with that. But like nowadays when I'm working one-to-one, or even in the Apothecary, if I'm channeling and giving guidance, it's coming from somewhere beyond me. Like it's coming from maybe the remedies that want to channel through me. It's coming from my ancestors. It's coming from spirit. And so the only reason I can work in the way I do is because of clear quartz. And so deep down, if we're in a clear quartz wounded state, we're longing for clarity. We're longing to trust our wisdom. We're longing to remember this oracle witch. This is what I'm calling her, this witch that is an oracle, that has oracle gifts. The gift of knowing, the gift of seeing. The part of us that has a spiritual brilliance that we can trust, even when we feel we don't, we're not able to. Like this is this part of us who can commune with other worlds, the part that has deep intuition. This is what this kind of clear quartz crystal is helping us to reclaim. And it is perfect timing because as we move into Samhain, Halloween, this season, the veil between the two worlds grows thin. So this is the season where witches back in time, like have known that it's easiest to commune with the unseen, with our ancestors, with our guides, with the apothecary, with the wisdom that doesn't come from logic, but from soul. And it's a time to learn to open to trusting the signs, the synchronicities, the nudges, the little hits in our body that go, oh, yeah, remember this? Like the things that we've shut down because the witch has learned to shut down our body, to disconnect from our bodies. And part of clear quartz, because she's a mineral, she's from the earth. She's grounded. She's in her body. Like she makes up the body. Like the being a mineral, minerals are found in the body. Like she has a deep connection to body in her gold when she allows herself to connect to that, when she's not in wounding, when she's not shaming that body connection, that helps her to connect with her intuition. Like, this is what Clear Quartz helps us do. Like, she helps us learn to open and trust. But trust doesn't come easily to the secret witch. It feels dangerous. It feels irrational. It feels impossible. It feels like we might be ridiculed for it, especially in a world that operates from logic and science. And this isn't to diminish science either, just to be clear. I'll share more on that later. But ultimately, Clear Quartz is calling us to remember this intuitive oracle within. So this is where Clear Quartz comes in, like the archetypal remedy of the oracle, of brilliance, of clarity. She is the archetypal medicinal energy of Clear Quartz crystal. If you're witchy, you probably know already, this is the master healer crystal. She amplifies communion and communication with other worlds. She's here to help us get clarity. As I said, her queendom is mineral, which means she brings us home to our bodies. She's the crystal ball. She's the mirror of truth. And her shadow is over-reliance on logic, that her gold is reclaiming our spiritual brilliance. So she reveals what's already within. She magnifies our intuitive oracle within, so that we can finally connect to what's true, connect to even our vision, our bigger vision, and know what we're here for. Like, she has so many gifts, so many things for us to be able to work with and claim. And you don't really need to know right now how to do that. We can speak more about that. But in essence, to just give you a bit of an overview, in her shadow, Clear Quartz shows up as a survival strategy for witches who feel that we aren't safe to express our gifts. There's kind of often an over-reliance on logic, like even though we're being called to something, like maybe, for example, you're like, I think I'm really here to be a healer. And you like keep feeling that nudge and you keep feeling that intuitive hit of like, I think there's something more, like I have gifts, or I think I can heal myself. Like whatever it is that we're feeling, like there's some more magic here for me than is in everyday life. Like when we feel that, there's instantly in Clear Quartz wounding, there's instantly this thing that comes in, this logical part of us that goes, no, that's not true. And it shuts down that intuitive hit that we've had. So there's an over-reliance on logic in her wounding when we're in Clear Quartz's shadow. There's a fear of being wrong. Often Clear Quartz will very much have this very logical brilliance. Like there's a deep kind of depth to Clear Quartz where she's like a genius. Like she might even be a logical genius. Many Clear Quartz women who have got Clear Quartz in their soul map, and it's part of them, have often been the kind of very intellectual ones who are really gifted, but have kind of like shamed that because it wasn't welcome. Like it's also not okay to be intellectual. And so there's this fear of being wrong because maybe if we're put on a pedestal, like we're really intelligent and therefore we can't fail. Like there's all these things that are tied into brilliance. Likewise, there can be this kind of sense of like not being clever enough in Clear Quartz in shadow. I'll come to that in a minute, but there's also this kind of mistrust of our intuition that I mentioned, and also there can be this temptation to overthink, to analyze, to problem solve everything in order to stay in control. But ultimately, she disconnects from her body, from her heart, from her wisdom when she feels that it's going to be judged as irrational. And particularly in childhood, Clear Quartz may have been made wrong for her brilliance, as I mentioned, either labelled stupid, and often I spot this pattern, given my brilliance in spotting patterns, I spot this as a pattern that shows up for people, particularly witches who have maybe had a diagnosis of ADHD, who maybe didn't fit into the educational system and were taught that they weren't very clever. Like, you're just not clever, which is so far from the truth. Like there's a genius, a brilliance in both ADHD and autism, neurodivergence. And you might not even be neurodivergent. If you're listening to this, it doesn't have to be that's the case. There might just be this sense of like, I was labelled stupid as a child. Or on the flip side, because there's always a shadow pole, like I was shamed for being too clever and gifted, and I felt like I had to live up to those standards. So perhaps, again, like the autistic witches out there who were able to shine, but maybe got bullied for being different, or felt like there was kind of some kind of wounding around that. Because Clear Quartz has been schooled to believe that logic is what matters. So she doubts magic. She resists spirit. She'll often feel that call to the witch, but then shut it down, being like, that makes no sense. Like, that makes no sense whatsoever. And so she'll resist spirit. She'll suppress that call to the witch. She'll suppress her oracle gifts, mistrusting the very brilliance that she came here for. And for women who want to heal themselves, this is a layer that we need to heal in order to fully reclaim our witch within, especially if we also feel a deep call to be healers. If we feel like, oh, maybe I'm here for more than this. Maybe I'm here to be a healer. Like, we can't share our gifts, our brilliance, without healing the fear of our brilliance. And also, we can't share our magic without healing the part of us that goes, is magic real? So we need to kind of clear that up for ourselves. And so Clear Quartz helps us do this. And as she does, we reclaim her brilliance, her gold, the gifts of Clear Quartz. So when Clear Quartz is alchemized, she shines her gold. She learns to embrace her brilliance, her sharp brain. Like, she's a brilliant shadow pattern spotter, for example. She's the ancient wise woman who can commune with our ancestors. She's the woman with a deep connection to her body who can trust her intuition. Like, this is the oracle witch in her fullness. She's great at spotting patterns and synchronicities. If you know me and you've worked with me, it often gets reflected to me like, oh my goodness, how did you even ask that question? Like, I need that question. Like, that question is genius. And that's the sort of thing that she's good at. The oracle witch can spot patterns. She can spot synchronicities. She can spot, she can reflect back things and see things at a deeper level than most of the world. That she can see synchronicities. Those become visible to her. She can trust those signs, those symbols that she receives, the downloads she receives. She can follow her intuitive nudges with courage and allow herself also to access maybe her deeper witchy vision. Like, there's a clarity that comes in with Clear Quartz. And it's in this reclamation where our clair gifts returns, that clear seeing, clear hearing, clear feeling, clear knowing, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognisance. And we learn to heal and alchemize and reclaim these parts of ourselves, these parts that got fragmented in our childhood experiences that said, nope, you're too brilliant or you're not brilliant enough. And those lost parts that got fragmented, that got split off, that got shamed and hidden maybe in childhood, are able to return home. Like, we're able to learn to trust our body, to trust our intuition as much as logic. Not to reject logic, but to heal and alchemize the brilliance of both. Like, we often think we either have to be sciencey or magical, but there's like an alchemy when we're able to like claim the two and alchemize the two and have them work together. And there's often a spiritual brilliance to Clear Quartz, but she can also be intellectually brilliant too, and there are gifts to that. It's almost like the alchemy of like the brilliant science and art of ancient wisdom, rather than a rejection of one or the other. And so Clear Quartz lives from soul rather than control, and is held by both structure and logic, but not confined by it. And she no longer hides her brilliance, so she's ready to claim it as medicine. And I want to share a little bit of my own journey with that, because I've had quite a long journey with Clear Quartz. I remember, I was thinking back to this earlier, like I remember when I was younger, I used to play the dumb blonde a lot, which is a pattern actually that my mum passed down. She was the same, like genius, brilliance, but then like would just say the silliest things. And I have many, many stories about that. But I used to kind of play the innocent kind of like, yeah, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of examples. Like I would not know like something. I don't know. There'd be like incidents where I just wasn't good at cooking, and I wasn't good with knowing like what countries were where. And yes, you could say like there's a part of me that just hadn't learned that, but there was kind of like a joy in playing the part of not knowing. it was like to step into the dumb blonde archetype was kind of like a mask for hiding the fact that I actually did have a really great level of depth that I had learned wasn't acceptable or appreciated in the world. Like, in fact, it was shamed. And so I would naturally, as a child and into adulthood, I would spot patterns. I would think deeply about things, particularly spiritual things. I would commune with other worlds until I learned that this wasn't normal, in inverted commas. And I shut that brilliance down, shaming it, because I learned that I didn't fit in if I allowed it. And I remember I was thinking earlier back to this, like I even had clients when I was a healer in the early days, over 13 years ago, maybe even longer. I'm not going to add it. And who I would channel messages from during Reiki sessions. And I would channel these, I'd be downloading these messages. I'm working on their body, or just above their body, and like giving them healing. And then I would receive these like intuitive downloads, these messages. I would be channeling messages from their loved ones. And then I would like feel this responsibility and like really bristle and go all tense and worried about the idea of sharing them. Though I often did, and they were often very valuable for the people who they came through for. I remember one specific time where I very bravely stepped into my courage and offered a Reiki client a message that had come through. I'd had her sister like right next to me saying in my ear, because I can hear clairaudience, like I can hear spirit. And she was saying to me, like, I forgive her. I forgive her. Please tell her I forgive her. I can also see. So sometimes in a Reiki session, like spirits would come and stand at the end of the bed and work with me. And often people would say, "Oh, I thought you were at my feet," and I'm like, "No, that's someone else." But this woman, this sister of the client, came in and she said, "I'm her sister, and I forgive her." And I thought this is a message that's too important for me to ignore. And I kind of ummed and ahed about it. And then I said to her, this is going to sound really strange, but whilst you were having your treatment, like your sister came in and said, I didn't even know if she had a sister, let alone any more information. I said, your sister's here. And she said she forgives you. I also felt like that was quite sensitive, because I'm like, I don't know what this is. And she just welled up with tears and she said, like, we had an argument right before she passed away unexpectedly. And that, like, I just felt like, wow. Like, she felt so emotional and so happy to have received that message, to have connected in that way. And it was so healing for her to receive that I forgive you. Like, it was just so healing. And I remember thinking, wow, like, this is crazy. Like, that's a crazy experience. And I have to trust that happened. There were other experiences, actually, thinking back to when I first trained in Reiki. And I don't know if you ever train in Reiki, as part of that, you usually give distance healing to someone else. And so I was in exchange with this woman who we both were training in Reiki, and we agreed we were going to exchange that healing. So we arranged a time, and we both got together in our own homes, and we were sharing via distance. So we went through the process, and I remember we would do healing on each other, and then we would exchange like what came up for them in that healing, and they would share their experience, and I would share my experience as the healer. And I remember as I was giving healing to this woman, and I had no idea, I didn't know her at all. I didn't know anything about this. I was holding my hands there. I just got this red Labrador come in. And I was like, hey, that's very specific. I don't know what that means. But I'm going to go with it. That's what happened. Like, that's my experience. I think the color pink, I can't remember. There was some kind of color there as well. So I was like, okay, fine. And then we shared after. And I said to her, oh, it was really strange. Like, about halfway through, like, I just got this red Labrador. It's a red Labrador. It was a red dog of some kind, like a red color coat. I presume you get red Labradors. Anyway, it was red. I'm pretty sure it's a Labrador. And I said to her, like, yeah, really weird. I don't know what that is. Like, what does that mean for you? And she said, oh, well, when you were doing my healing, I have a dog and he's a red Labrador, and he came and sat on my lap midway through. And I was like, wow. And I also asked her what colour she saw. She saw pink as well. So it was like, there's something undeniable here that there is actually data for. Like, yes, it's data that is like very kind of case study based. It's not like a statistical thing right now, although there are statistics and science around Reiki. But like, it was undeniable. And I started to see like, oh, maybe I have shut something down that is actually quite magical and is actually very true. So that was the start of Clear Quartz healing. And that one time with the client was a rare time I was able to share that spiritual brilliance as an oracle and have it be a gift. And that is, I think, what a lot of secret witches are called here for. On the other hand, I also remember a friend's, we go to a friend's house, and as soon as I entered the house, this very tall, big energy man, he felt like a granddad. He came in and he said to me, obviously, you know, his spirit, he's communicating in his own way, and I'm kind of collecting that data in my own way. And he said to me, tell your friend that I'm really tall. I'm her granddad and I'm really tall. And then as he did that, the DVD player started opening and closing on its own. I was like, okay, I hear you. He's adamant. He's like, tell her. So I said to my friend, like, this is going to sound really strange. I used to start like that a lot of the times where I was, I was sharing things like, this is going to sound really strange, like caveat, I'm going to apologize for my magic. But your granddad's here, and he said he's really tall. And I said, is this true? This is all the information that he's given me. I didn't even know at this point, she's a fairly new friend at the time. Like, I didn't really know, like, if she had a granddad that had passed. And so I asked her, and she said, yes, he was really tall. And, like, I did have a granddad who has passed. And then she was terrified. She was like, do not tell me anything ever again. And bless her heart, she was terrified. And that was, of course, another time where I felt, oh, this isn't welcome. So there have been many moments like this in my life. You could call it mediumship. Many secret witches, as I said, often have this gift of mediumship or channeling or communion with other worlds that is shamed and shoved down. So this oracle gift that we have to commune with other worlds, to commune with spirit, has been hidden away in secrecy. That as I came to work with my witch just over 5-6 years ago, I learned that witches have this clear quartz brilliance, that amplified power to commune with other worlds, those sharp edges that pierce straight to the point, like the ability to see things that others just can't, including the clear truth. Like, we have the capacities, which is to reflect back, to mirror things rather than just offer advice, so that people can see their own crystal clear vision in a reflection and also illuminate their own projections into it as well. So I began to see that witches and myself, witches are oracles, and can reclaim that part of ourselves by working with clear quartz crystal as an archetypal remedy and energy medicine to help us illuminate like where we've shamed and shoved that gift down. And I often talk about the witch having her inner apothecary, and clear quartz crystal is one of those remedies in that apothecary. So we're here to kind of work with that remedy from our inner apothecary. So I began to reconnect to myself. I began to commune with other worlds, letting myself channel spirit, like all of which were gifts that eventually led me to allowing myself to download the archetypal apothecary, channeling the spirits of remedies that we work with in the secret witch path. So when I think back, I feel really grateful to Clear Quartz because it was her who allowed me to harness my gift to channel. Like, without her medicine, I wouldn't be here speaking on a top 10% podcast, helping secret witches to reclaim their own medicine, like their own clear quartz gifts, their own channeling, capacity, their own mediumship, their own like gifts, spiritual gifts. And even this year, like we go through the Clear Quartz medicine journey, and like it doesn't end. Like if Clear Quartz is our medicine, and we'll know by the resonance or the resistance, usually we feel something if it's our medicine. And I've been deep in her medicine this year too. Like even now I'm calling on her for guidance to help me to connect to the truth in a situation that feels like a crisis, where I've got very little clarity. For once in my life, I have no solution. Like I'm calling on Clear Quartz for help. By the way, I assume that because when we call in these remedies, they will give us all the material for liberation we need to fully claim their gifts, that she has given me this situation to be able to fully claim her on a deeper level. This is what tends to happen. I'm like, okay, strategically, I need to think about what I want to liberate before I start offering it out. But once we open to these remedies, they are there for life with us, is my point. They're part of us. We often think, oh, I'm going to go and work with this remedy and like it's external. But actually, if we're called to working with that remedy, it's part of us already. Like we're resonating with an aspect of ourselves that's already within. And often in The Secret Witch, that's a part that's operating in shadow, the denial of our brilliance. And the denial of our spirituality, our gifts. And my work here in this path is to help secret witches learn how to work with remedies to heal themselves and reclaim those lost parts of themselves from the shame that they've had in life around their spiritual brilliance. And as we do that, we reclaim the gold, the gifts of each remedy, and the parts of ourselves that are our witchy gifts that have been hidden get reclaimed. So we're here to talk about how. What I would say is if you are feeling called to embody your oracle witch, perhaps you know because you have truth bumps, I call them truth bumps rather than goosebumps, or your body's responding in some way, or you've maybe had synchronicities with the crystal, or you just have a deep resonance with her, or maybe you have resistance to her. You're like, nope, this doesn't make any sense. I'm just going to keep resisting. Then the first step of how to claim that inner oracle is to just witness that, like to allow yourself to be honest, to go into your body and notice those signs and synchronicities. Like, where do I relate to this? Like, where am I noticing that I have elements of this oracle witch, that I have elements of being able to commune with other worlds, that I receive downloads and nudges that I dismiss. And that in itself is an amazing start point. Like just even acknowledging that fact is opening the door. It's opening a door. And we can also step through the door. So the thing we need to do once we've acknowledged that for ourselves is to learn to listen. And on a very basic level, that looks like starting to listen for your own intuition. And we can get in touch with that by listening to our inner signals, like what's our body giving us a message about? What is our intuition telling us? Like what are we realizing that we actually do know? Maybe it's that we're being called to work with Clear Quartz to heal that. And so if you are feeling that call, if the answer is yes to like being called to work with Clear Quartz in your life, and you want a more guided option, I'll share more about this at the end, because we're just about to begin a journey with Clear Quartz for 3 months in the Apothecary membership, which is accessible at different price levels, by the way. But I also am conscious always to make this like a path that's easily accessible with some first little nuggets and steps that we can journey by ourselves. And then if we want to go deeper, we have options. So firstly, I'm just going to leave you with some inquiries, because always, and especially with Clear Quartz, given she's so brilliant and logical, like always it's helpful to start with inquiry. Inquiry helps us to start to like unpack things and start to illuminate themes and spot those patterns within ourselves, which is part of that Clear Quartz brilliance. So I invite you to pause and notice, and you might want to pause this literally and write it down, but like there's some questions. And my questions are, first and foremost, to help you acknowledge like where you've got Clear Quartz in you. Like where do you resonate with Clear Quartz's themes of like shamed brilliance and shamed intuition and like not feeling clever enough or feeling too gifted and like that's shameful? or like shutting down your intuition, shutting down the messages that you receive as a witch from the other worlds. I lost my clear quartz crystal there. Found it now. Yeah. So where do you notice and resonate those themes? Where do you feel resonance in your body? And what's your relationship with trusting that resonance? Like, are you getting truth bumps? Do you shame and shove that down? Do you override it? Do you shame it? Do you think, no, I haven't got time for this now? Like, it's not logical. Like, maybe this is going to disrupt my whole life if I allow myself to just even look here. Like, where are we seeing that? And like, notice how your inner oracle is deprioritized for something more logical. And why? Like, why are we deprioritizing that? So, some other questions. Where do you mistrust your body, intuition, and clarity? Where do you hide your brilliance to fit into the world? Where do you dismiss your inner knowing as irrational? Where do you hide from your clair, mediumship, or communication gifts? Why? What fears do you have? You might want to pause this and just spend some time, like just 5 minutes, just answering some of these questions, and just again, not having to like dig deep into the detail. Just allow yourself to intuit the answers. To just write down whatever comes on the first go, because we can tend to overthink, particularly if we're in clear quartz shadow wounds. We will be like, okay, I'm going to spend like an hour going through these questions instead of just trusting what comes. Like, you're going to dig deep and be like, okay, and there's more, and there's more, and there's more. Like, what's the initial answer that comes? Notice that. Notice where you're tempted to overthink, to dig really, really deep instead of just trusting that first answer. And you may also like to journal to find some evidence to soothe that part that wants that logical exploration, like as well. Another question is, when is one moment that you had a very clear moment of intuition and knowing that was right or true, even if you doubted it? So just allow yourself to remember back to a time, because what can be helpful is to find evidence of where you have been an oracle witch, where you have known something. Maybe that's been terrifying. So love your inner little gun and whatever comes up as you do that. And I'm not going to go too much deeper than that, because I intentionally don't, because if we stir too much up and there's no support from a podcast, these are the deeper questions tend to be in my Apothecary, because that's a space for integration. So if you want to go deeper, then I suspect you'll enjoy our next 3 months in the Apothecary. But either way, these are the first tender steps to begin to reclaim our oracle witch, and it is the perfect time for that. Really is. I'm super excited. And yeah, the medicine is in journeying more deeply into clear quartz's facets, into the different faces of the oracle witch within. So we're going to be doing that together as a coven, into the body, into brilliance, into clarity, into our oracle wisdom. So in October, if you are feeling the call to that, as the witch season opens and the veil thins, we are journeying with clear quartz inside the Secret Witch's Apothecary, where together we will reclaim our brilliance, our oracle witch power, and our trust in our intuition and our intuitive gifts, and our communion with other worlds. So if you are feeling the calls, that if this episode has been speaking to your soul and you're like, oh yeah, I'm the oracle witch, then I invite you to join us in the Apothecary. And as always, I don't need to choose that from fear, pressure, or frenzy. So please choose wisely. Again, trust your intuition. Like, if you feel resonance in your body, it could be for you. Likewise, if you feel fear, it could be for you. Don't rule it out if you feel resistance or fear, because often these are signs as well. Given the remedies work on a like cures like basis, often what we fear or resist will be deep medicine for us. That's something that we aren't taught in this world. In this kind of very logical world, we're taught that if we feel resistance, we just walk on by. Like, so just be conscious of that. One thing I did want to share is how if you do join the Apothecary, we kind of journey these live remedies as a bit of a what I call meditative proving basis, which is something that I've been meaning to write a post on, and I may well have done by the time this airs, because it's the people in the Apothecary who bring this remedy alive. And this isn't to say that you have to share if you land there and that doesn't feel safe, but there is a special kind of magic that comes in when people who are intentionally coming to work with a remedy come together and start to share their experience of that. So there is a sisterhood in the Apothecary as well. It's a big part of the medicine of it. And like I say, you don't have to share, but if you want to, and you want to work with this remedy and you want to bring this remedy alive, we're kind of like proving the remedy. We're working with the remedy in a way that homeopathically we'd call it a meditative proving, where we're working with the energy of clear quartz and seeing what it reveals for us. We're allowing the remedy to come alive in us and heal us in real time. And we're sharing that. And the more people share, the more everybody benefits from the medicine, because you are medicine too. And often clear quartz as a remedy state doesn't remember that. So this really is an invitation to remember the oracle which you have always been, and to start walking as the medicine that you are with that oracle wisdom that you have, even if it's hidden right at the bottom of the pile, even if you've like thrown it in your shadow bag over your shoulder and you've been lugging it around like, oh, it's calling to you. It's like, oh, come on, oracle witch. And you're like, no, that's not me. I don't know who you're talking to. Maybe it is time for you to reclaim this part of you. Yes, I am excited for Clear Quartz Crystal. I can tell you that now. And the wise woman that she is. So I'm going to leave this episode there. I would love to hear what it's brought alive for you. So if you do have anything to share, please join us in our free Facebook group. So you can search Secret Witch. I think it's Secret Witches. Well, if you search Secret Witch anyway, it'll come up. But let me Secret Witch Sisterhood. There we go. Just looked it up. How have I forgotten that? It's been there for like 5 years. So yeah, you're welcome to join us in there. If you kind of aren't feeling the Apothecary is just right for you yet, that is also welcome. So please do join us in our other spaces and stay in connection. Or just keep listening to the show and sharing it if you find it useful. I hate the word useful. Like, if you're feeling it's magical, share it. Useful is also good. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you there. And thank you for listening. And I will see you next time. That's love. I, as always, am loving recording that show. So thank you for listening. Here are my takeaways. Your oracle gifts aren't non-existent. They're just hidden. Doubt and second guessing comes from conditioning that taught us that logic is superior. Our clairs, seeing, hearing, feeling, knowing, are recoverable with practice and compassion. Clear Quartz amplifies our oracle gifts, the gifts that are already within you. As the archetypal remedy of the brilliant oracle and clarity, she doesn't add something new. She magnifies your inner knowing and mirrors the truth so you can finally trust yourself. Over-reliance on logic can be a wound. When safety has meant prove it, we overthink, control, and disconnect from our body. That's a survival strategy, not your truth, and it's exactly what Clear Quartz helps us to heal. Gold equals the alchemy of intuition and intellect. We are not being asked to reject logic and science, we're invited to weave it with the body wisdom. So our spiritual and intellectual brilliance come out together as one coherent clarity. True healing is science and art. Samhain is a threshold for trust. With the veil thin at this time of year, it's an ideal season to practice listening for signs, synchronicities, intuitive bodily nudges. Begin with a small, playful intuition experiment. Note them, track them, and rebuild that self-trust. We can start simply. Inquire, feel, record. Ask where you override resonance, where you hide brilliance, and when an intuition is proven true, journal these evidence moments to soothe the rational mind and reclaim our inner oracle witch.